I do this for my ladies, women. The creators of Earth reduced to dirt in 16 bars with a beaten heck. We sing those same lines verbatim while rocking, clapping, and shaking those same behinds they talk about so cheaply. Like all it took to get into your temple was a dude with a tube in his throat singing about buying you a drink, and you could be his $2 hoe tonight, but in the morning, your only gratification is shame and a wet behind that stinks because it wasn't no fun if his homies couldn't have none. And Trina said you were the baddest chick and you itch for the attention but failed to realize that she repeats herself constantly like who is she trying to convince? Heck, most of us in some form of fashion have fat asses, pretty face, and a skinny waist, but there's no need to advertise by perpetuating the stereotypical lies. UNITY was the queen's way of telling a man to respect her mind, but our gentle fellows tear it down by cordially inviting us to the Holiday Inn to suck him and his friends because he was getting some head, getting some head, and we danced instead of being offended by the message. Yet this puzzles me harder than a jigsaw because you came out of that same chick you talk about having lockjaw because she slobs on your knob like corn on the cob, and this is supposed to be music. Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. I am Pi-Anir the Poet, and this is my first ever YouTube video. I decided that I'm going to take the leap of faith, and after much prayer and much self-talking, I decided just to try it out and let's do it. At the urging of Dakota B, and watching several other YouTubers, I said, okay, let's just see where this goes. I mean, you have to say when this is your work, it's like, you know, you're putting your child out there for the world to judge, and that could be a very, very scary thought, but you got to start somewhere. So I said to myself, what exactly did I want in a channel? What would I like to see as a poet? And I know that I wanted to see poetry from me. Of course, it's Pi-Anir. Like, you know, it's about what I do as well. But I knew that I also wanted to see the work of others. And I wanted to integrate that with things that are going on in the world, as well as, you know, this journey that I'm embarking on this year with trying to get back into nationals again. I did nationals 3 years ago. It was the most exciting experience, and I want to take that with me. There's so many videos that showcase nationals, so I want a video from the viewer's perspective as well as the performer's perspective. So I want to do that, and then I want to go to the smaller venues and, you know, check out all the local poets and then the big name poets. There's so much that I want to do. So this is actually a great platform to start with it, and it's just getting over nerves to get myself to that point where I'm okay with pressing post, you know. So I started writing at the age of 9. I come from a very controversial background, and growing up, my great-grandmother raised me, and she was very strict. I mean, I thank her for that now. But at the time when I was young, I had no outlet to tell the way I was feeling and get that out of me. And, you know, I had 3 choices with her. I could watch Channel 45. We all know what Channel 45 is. Or I could read a book, which I became an avid reader, by the way. Or I could do something constructive. And for me, that was writing. So when I first started writing, I wrote all of this poetry. Everything rhymed. It was flowy. You know, the wind's in my hair, there beneath the stairs, that sort of thing. And I remember I became a teenager and I had been writing. And I got to watch this show, and it was Russell Simmons' Deaf Poetry. Wow. I was hooked. There were poets, but they were so passionate and angry and expressive. And it was one of the greatest experiences as a poet that young. So that night I sat down and I wrote this poem that had like 6 topics in it. No rhyme or reason. It just was, I think at the time, my emotions and what I was feeling. And I remember calling my cousin on the phone and I'm like, hey, listen to this. And I read it and she's like, oh, okay, that's different. And I'm like, yeah, it's different. It's spoken word and I'm a poet. And it was such a life-changing experience, but I still never got the chance to showcase that. But I continued to write. And then I had the chance of going to a venue and I met this enigma of a person. He had such a personality. He was so larger than life. He was just like, wow. And he was hosting an event, and he was also an artist himself, but he also represented artists. And I remember there was this poet by the name of Sunshine that took the stage, and she did this poem, and there were like bells and light bulbs going off in my head, because at that moment I knew that not only was that the sentiment of what I had been writing, the stage was calling me. So I got all set, I got on stage and I bombed. It was completely awful. I didn't remember my lines. Nothing went right. I turned a 3-minute poem into a 45-second poem. It was awful. But within that, something in me was born. I knew then that I wanted to take my poetry to another level. I wanted to perform it. I wanted to be immersed in that culture and get myself oh man, it's hard to describe. So I got better as time went on, and I started to perform, and I loved it. And I haven't stopped since. There have been a few setbacks. There have been a few times where I have stopped and, life has handed me things where I had to take a step back, but that did not silence my pen. I kept writing. So this year, I'm back. And I'm back with a vengeance. I am finally working on my CD. I'm also finishing up my book. And then I've started the YouTube. It's a daunting task, but I feel alive with it because it's a challenge that I'm taking on, but I'm doing it. And to me, that's what writing is about. I remember someone telling me once that if God gives you a talent and you don't use it, he'll take it because you're squandering it. You're not doing what he put you on the earth to do, what your purpose is supposed to be. So I don't want to lose this. This makes me feel so alive and so great. So I'm hoping that you're coming on this journey with me, and together we are going to see some fire poets. We're going to do some great poetry together, and we're just going to see where this takes us. So until the next time, YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, life is a journey. Why not write it?